Hello and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. Today my illustration is based on Paul David Tripp's book New Morning Mercies, and today is August 3rd. Years ago there was a television reality show called Nanny 911. It took you into the homes of families where the children had no consistent set of rules or structure, and the parents had no control over the situation, and it ended up that the children were running the show. And it was a nightmare. The children were angry and frustrated, out of control, and very unhappy. They were desperate for guidelines and consistency. These poor kids just didn't know which way was up. And that's when the cool-headed nanny would step in. She would analyze the situation and show the parents how to establish rules and a schedule, and then train them to consistently implement them. And when that finally happened, the whole family dynamic would be turned around and everyone would be much happier. I remember watching that show and thinking, thank goodness my house isn't like that. But the truth of the matter is that I was just as guilty of making some of those same mistakes as those parents in the TV show. When I would be inconsistent and send my kids mixed messages, they would be frustrated and act out too. Shocking behavior in households isn't exclusive to Nanny 911. All I can say is thank goodness there was never a television crew videotaping what went on in my home when I was raising my children. Today in his devotion, Paul Tripp talks about behavior and what happens when we make things all about ourselves and we put ourselves in the center of every story. It causes us to be discontent, envious, and demanding. It's the source of unhappiness, broken relations, and even violence in the streets. He calls it the selfishness of sin. It's when we make it all about us. We pull the borders of our concerns into the narrow confines of what we want, what we feel, what we dream, and what we think we need. A good day is a day that is pleasurable and easy for me. A good circumstance is one in which I get my way. And he calls it the vantage point of a scary and tragic meism. This behavior reminds me of the families in Nanny 911, all trying to live together but without any guidelines. Paul Tripp says, but the first 4 words of the Bible confront us with the inescapable reality that it is not all about us. In the beginning is God confronts us with the truth that life comes from, is controlled by, and exists for another. We will never be at the center because God is. It will never be about us because it's about Him. So here is the good news. When we ask God into our lives and invite Him to rule our hearts and minds, He will guide us so we would have purpose and know joy and the peace that passeth understanding. So thank you for joining me today at Mimi's Sketchbook. I hope that this was an encouragement to you, and if it was, please subscribe and give this a thumbs up so that YouTube will help to spread the good news. So thank you and God bless.